Дишане. Промисъл.
Да пребъде Божият мир и да изгрее Божията радост и Божието веселие в нашите сърца. Да пребъде Божият мир и да изгрее Божията радост и Божието веселие в нашите сърца. Да пребъде Божият мир и да изгрее Божията радост и Божието веселие в нашите сърца.
Paneurhythmy is also a method for developing and expanding human consciousness. Human consciousness can be considered in four major levels: cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, consciousness, and self-consciousness. The human soul abides in the vertical axis of cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, in which lie the most beautiful opportunities for human development. When human beings have lived within these most wonderful conditions, the vertical axis, they have actually lived in speaking the language of the Bible, paradise. When human beings have lived within these most wonderful conditions, the vertical axis, they have actually lived in speaking the language of the Bible, in paradise. However, we know the story of Adam and Eve. We know who seduced Eve and how Eve seduced Adam. Then people decided they are allowed to and are able to do anything. That is the deviation of human beings from the vertical axis. This act eating from the forbidden fruit, was the reason for them to be thrown out of heaven. In esoteric language, this means human beings separate from their spiral path of their life, drift away from the common path, which should follow the vertical axis, and set into action the law of karma. The law of karma appears as a consequence of human disobedience. Thrown out of heaven, human beings are forced to follow the horizontal axis in order to develop their consciousness towards self-consciousness. This is human life filled with a lot of suffering. People learn from their suffering because they have lost their constant link with God. They have moved away, so to say, from the orbit of their natural development as souls. All of material life is concentrated in consciousness. Animals have consciousness, so do we. But only human beings have self-consciousness. The unconscious processes in animals and people are managed through the peripheral nervous system by a great mind that is transmitted by the solar plexus. This means that we perceive subconsciously the ordinance of the great cosmic mind through the solar plexus. This is true for animals too. People who have pets have sometimes witnessed unusual behavior on their side. They behave somewhat like people. These are flashes of human consciousness in animal consciousness. By the same analogy, there are moments when cosmic consciousness flashes in human consciousness. These are moments of revelation, when for seconds or a minute one receives incredible gifts. This is to show that their future is in the getting back to the vertical axis of cosmic consciousness, where lie all human possibilities and most favorable conditions for the human soul. Walking this ascending path, one day people will reach the collective consciousness, which is a higher form of self-consciousness, and then the cosmic consciousness, opening the doors to the divine world. Expelled from heaven, however, people are forced to live in the horizontal axis, that is, they are crucified. The constant struggle between cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, and consciousness, self-consciousness. Man who is crucified. Man living in suffering. Through suffering, however, he learns, advances, and develops his self-consciousness. We mentioned self-consciousness in acquaintance. Here we consider it in a broader aspect. It is good for one to develop self-consciousness. It is bad to go into a too great individualization. Too great individualization automatically leads to drifting away from the ascending vertical path and subjecting oneself to the laws of karma. The law of cause and effect. The flashes of divine cosmic consciousness, which sometimes come on people as a stroke, are a reminder that they are able to and have to come back to their right path. They have to recover their constant connection with the divine consciousness. Sun rays presents the human drama, the drama of society, when the spirit for a moment loses its power and the powers of evil and darkness take over, making it experience an obscured consciousness, almost a tabula rasa. It cannot find a solution and starts moving in a vicious circle. In the sun rays, this happens on the 13th step, when the sunbeam is getting back from the center to the periphery. Sun rays is the second part of Paneurhythmy, related to the energies of the spiritual world. The earth is a living being, another form of life. It is like an enormous crystal, a dodecahedron, whose facets are pentagons. Cosmic energies and electromagnetic energies flow along the edges of these pentagons. We know from mineralogy that if we break the top of a crystal and put it in the same conditions in which it has grown, it will be able to recover the missing top. This is a proof that along the edges of the crystal, the edges, not the facets, these powerful cosmic energies flow. All human cultures and civilizations have been created along these edges of the pentagons since the beginning of time. The spiritual world works with the number 12. 12 power fields that emanate the 12 zodiacal signs. There are 12 planets, counting also the destroyed planet Phaeton, the planet Volcano, which is between the Sun and Mercury, and the 12th planet behind Pluto. In John's Revelation, there are 12 gates through which life flows into us. There are 12 brain centers, 2 parts of 12 hours in a 24-hour period, 12 equal half-tones in the well-tempered scale. Jesus Christ had 12 disciples and 12 stops on his way to Golgotha, and so on. If we look around, we can find a lot of expressions of the number 12. This is the language of the divine world. It teaches us and works on us with the number 12. In sun rays, we also have 12 radial beams directed to the center. The circle continues to exist. It has radiated these 12 beams directed to the center. Living energy continuously streams from the divine source of life. It is being taken by the 12 radial beams and spread to the periphery and the circle. The circle of the sun rays represents the movement of the Earth around the sun. That means the beams move radially, while the circle moves forward and backward, forward and backward. Thus, it resembles the clock mechanism. This is the way the connection between mind and heart functions. The radial beams approach the center and take over the primordial rhythm of the sun in its purest form, carrying it out to the periphery, to the circle. The circle accepts it, utilizes the energies, processes the rhythm, and returns the demagnetized energies back to the sun. We can make an analogy with the heart, having in mind the arterial and venous blood. The pulse of the heart is connected with the pulse of the sun. The Master says that the sun is inhabited by higher intelligent beings who have the form of a circle and live in the center of the circle. It is they who, fluttering around the sun, create the impression of vibrations visible at sunrise. Thus they send love and life to all living beings on Earth and in the whole solar system. So the arterial blood coming out of the heart, the radial beams bring the pure rhythm of the sun, transmit it to the circle, and take back the demagnetized energies, that is, the venous blood, back to the sun, which purifies it again. In sun rays, this is demonstrated by the steps of the retreating beams. All steps of the retreat of the beams are always one and the same. This signifies that the quality of the solar energy, which is a cosmic energy, is always the same best quality. And with the advancing beams from the periphery to the center, the steps are always different. That is, the already utilized and demagnetized energies of the sunbeam approaching the center are always different. So the step is also different. The steps taking back the radial beams to the periphery are: the first retreat is 15 steps, the second retreat is 20, and the last retreat to the periphery is 13 steps. This is the last step, the 13th one. If we had stayed with the number 12, we wouldn't have been chased away from heaven. But human over-individualization brings us to the 13th step, the fatal one. And right here the circling starts. What is circling in the sun rays? This is the vicious circle in which man and all humanity gets caught. The vicious circle, or single circling, double circling, symbolizes the deadlock. The overcoming of this deadlock is achieved through the beautiful song. Mother Earth, I was born of you, a beautiful being, who will grow to be clever, thoughtful, and loving. This is the life of paradise. This is the key that great intelligent nature has given us. Our invisible friends who have walked our path to evolution know our mistakes, our weaknesses, and are willing to help us get out of the vicious circle of delusion, to get rid of Maya's chains, to be free of illusions. This is possible with the key of love: forgive and forget. Get lovingly in harmony with your partner, with all other people, with nature around you. Harmonize yourself with the whole world, with the whole universe. This is the way forward. After couples sing, "Mother Earth, I was born of your beautiful being," they have found the way out, because there is no situation without a way out. They have made this decisive step. This is the coming down from the cross. Christ was also crucified the way all humanity is crucified, the way every human being is crucified. The crucifixion graphically represents the vertical and the horizontal axes, a crucified man suffering. On earth, says the Master, for the time being people learn through suffering. But there will come a day when suffering will disappear as a means for human education. Well, we have not reached that day yet, but I'm sure it will happen. And on the third day, Jesus resurrected to show us that life is eternal, that they should come down from the cross and go into the pentagram. This is Leonardo's man, the one who has come down from the cross, moving, willing to work consciously for his self-perfection, to develop a new form of collective consciousness. Not that form of primitive collective consciousness which existed at the time of primeval people, but a totally new conscious one. Further, he will develop cosmic consciousness, reaching the divine consciousness. The end of sun rays shows these heavenly gates, opening to people when they come out of the vicious circle of Moses' law, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and start applying Christ's law. Forgive, be ready for self-sacrifice, and go along the path of love. Having in mind this state of mind, Apostle Paul says, "The happiness ahead of us cannot be measured with any worldly goods." When we reach that state, about which Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," following his path, which he showed by his life and self-sacrifice, one day we will reach the truth and become immortal. We will be one with the Absolute. We will be one with our Father, keeping our identity. And you will see the fruit, says the Master, when you reach the cosmic consciousness. That is, it is impossible to see the fruit of our development, of our evolution here on earth. But when we are really born from the spirit and water, as John says, then we will be able to see the whole path of our evolution. And then we will feel ourselves to be little cells of the cosmic organism. This evolutionary path is depicted in the third part of Paneurhythmy, the pentagram. Now we will show some steps in the sun rays. Dancers in the sun rays stand in couples, every beam containing 6 couples. And there is a circle of dancers around the 12 beams. If there are not enough people to form a circle around the beams, a couple stands opposite every beam. Or if there are not enough people to form 12 beams of 6 couples, then there should be 12 beams with some couples in them. Couples shortest in height stand first, and after them come the taller ones. The beams approaching the center go a little forward, then come back, and then advance again. 3 times the beam goes forward and comes backward. On the 13th step of the third coming back, the circling starts. First a single circling and then a double one. The first advance to the center is in several steps only. Now I will show you only the steps. The whole weight of the body is on the left foot, while the right foot is drawn slightly backwards. The arms make the first movement, and then the first step is made with the right foot and drawing the arms to the left side of the face. Now I am showing only the movement of the feet. The Rochenitsa rhythm pulsates vertically. This is the step of the first advance. All the steps of the retreat are the same because, as I said before, they bring the rhythm of the sun in its purest form. Only the 3 advances are with different steps. The arms are on the right side of the body and make the following figures. Following a straight line, they go to the left side of the face and clap. This harmonizes the hot and cold flows of the arms. Then they go to the left side of the body at 45 degrees and again, following a straight line, move to the right side of the face, where this time there is no clap but a wave. I am repeating the movements of the arms. They start from the right side, clap, the eyes follow them, and they are on the left side. They go to the right side of the body, where there is a wave. Only after the harmonizing of the flows of both hands is it possible to think about a flight forward. This is true for the couples as well as for the whole beam. Now I will show the figures made by the arms and the steps, that is, the whole advance. In the first advance, we have 3 claps and 2 waves. The arms go clap, wave, second clap, wave, third clap. The right foot stays in front, hands go on the waistline, and the foot which is in the front, the right one, starts a backward movement in beautiful arches sideways, making 15 steps. Then comes the second advance, which resembles the retreat steps, but actually is repeated twice. These are beautiful arch movements made by the foot twice. When the foot moves forward, it doesn't step exactly in front of the other, but slightly at the side. I will show once again the steps of the second advance. The body vibrates in the rhythm of the Rochenitsa. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, step 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, step, and so on. In one moment, the right foot is in a front position and it starts the familiar steps backwards. This time the retreating steps are 20. Last advance, the third one. The right foot is at an angle to the ground, touching it, while the left one is moving spring-like. 1, 2, step. 1, 2, step. The foot on the ground works with the energies of the earth, and the bent leg, which is static, but with toes pointing to the ground and touching it, actually receives the energies of the spiritual world, the energies of the sun. Last retreat. As we said, the steps of the retreat are always the same. That is, feet are drawing beautiful semicircles, beautiful arches in 13 steps. Then the circling starts, a single and a double one. Now we will show the steps of the first advancement, second advancement and third advancement up to the 13th step with the partner. The body weight is on the left foot, the right one slightly backwards. Arms are on the right side of the body and are the first to go. And clap and wave and second clap and wave and third clap. Hands move to the waistline. The right foot is in front, which starts the backward movement with arch-like beautiful movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the same way to 15. On the 15th step, the right foot is at the back and starts advancing with 2 fine arch-like movements. And the right foot does not go right in front of the left foot, but a little to the side. And 1 arch and second arch. Step. Left foot, step. Right foot, step. This is repeated up to a musical moment when the right foot is in front and starts the backward movement in the familiar way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 19, 20. Last advance. The right foot is bent at an angle and touches the ground because the left one is moving in a spring-like way. 1, 2, step. 1, 2, step. 1, 2, step. 1, 2, step, and so on. In the last moment, the right foot makes an arch forward and then starts a retreat in 13 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 13. The left partner then begins circling the right one, starting with the right foot and making 10 steps. In 10 steps, the partner comes back to the starting position. I am showing that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What is the left partner doing at that time? They touch the ground with their bent leg in the familiar way. The bent leg makes contact with the energies of the sun and the other one with the energies of the earth. So while the left partner is moving in a circle, the right one touches the ground 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and makes a small step ahead. This is actually at the 5th step of the circling partner. Then he does the same with the left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on 5 makes a small step. Now we will show that once again so that you can see what the right partner is doing at that time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the partners are in a line. Then both of them put forward their right foot and this time not 4 but 3 times touch the ground. 1, 2, 3, small step. When the left foot has to move 1, 2, 3, 4, we step in one place. Now the right partner is circling the left partner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now both partners. 1, 2, 3, small step. 1, 2, 3, stand still. After that comes a double circling. The same way both partners were doing a single circling, now they are doing a double one. The left partner is making a small inside arch, while the right partner is making an outside bigger arch. And both are passing by and facing each other. Then they pass by back to back. The left partner this time makes a bigger outside arch, while the right one makes a smaller inside arch, back to back. Now we'll show you the double passing by. 1, 2, pass by facing the partner, and 5, 6, 7 pass by back to back. Then we come to the same place in 10 steps. 1, 2, 3, small step, left foot in one place, 1, 2, 3 in one place. All this is repeated once again, that is, the left partner is circling in 10 steps, then the right partner is circling in 10 steps, and then is the double circling. The meaning of the circling was explained before. Then the dancers hold each other by the hand in a beautiful arch, arms lifted up above the face. Only in the sun rays, when partners are holding each other by the hand, they are high above the face. Both partners have contact through the lower part of the body when they are against each other, while the upper one is turned towards the musicians. Here we sing the beautiful Mother Earth, I was born of you a beautiful being, and everybody who feels they can sing well enough can join. After these remarkable words have been sung, that is, the key for the going out of the vicious circle, the key being love, arms go down and both partners turn to the musicians in front. The left hand is in front of and close to the body, and the right one is clapping on the left one and is more active. It is similar to the beating movement of playing a tambourine. After the right hand claps on the left one, they both go slightly up. We are demonstrating the movement. This movement is done with the words rai rai rai, meaning heaven. After this is over, both hands stand still in front of the solar plexus, the right being on top. Then we do the following movement, and the left hand comes on top of the right one, then the right hand tops the left, and so on. This movement resembles a beautiful flower, the complete blossoming of the human soul. Remember the first 10 exercises, then we had only slight claps, only popping up of the flower bud. Here on a higher level we observe the blossoming of the whole flower in its full beauty and charm. This happens with the words tell me, two sweet words. Tell me, two sweet words. Your two words are two sweet words. Your two words are two sweet words. The beautiful flower of the soul is completely in bloom. The dancers step slightly aside, making enough space between them, and make 5 very graceful, beautiful and elegant movements. The lower part of the arms, from the elbow to the fingers, is most active in this movement because it represents the spiritual and the divine world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fourth and the fifth time come almost immediately after each other and are a little faster. This is heaven. This is heaven. This is heaven. Heaven, heaven. These flying-like movements are repeated 5 times in 2 series, that is, totally 10 times. Now we already abide in the world of angels, a world of harmony and love. This is how the second part, sun rays, ends. We have passed the second big test, and we are ready to enter the third, biggest part. Pentagram, which is related to the divine world.